Hey y'all, it's Scanning Sports. So, is Crawford ducking Errol Spence? Or is Errol Spence ducking Terence Crawford? Now, as we all know, promoters in boxing struggle with making matchups. Fighters struggle with making matchups. And for a plethora of reasons on why they struggle as well. Adrian Broner is the most recent example. He brought up an actual fact that promoters probably wouldn't want to bring up. Adrian Broner brought up how Al Heyman couldn't make dates because he couldn't compensate for their contracts, basically. So essentially it was basically because, okay, so if you signed to a promoter and you signed a luxurious contract to their promotion, and the thing that's said on the paper is guaranteed cost. If the promoter does not have enough money by that time, or during that time, you're not going to get your guaranteed pay unless you fight another fighter who has a notable name. So therefore, this is why many fighters do not fight that often yearly, because because they would need to fight a certain type of fighter which compensates for the guaranteed pay. And Terence Crawford has been reportedly holding up the fight due to guaranteed money. Crawford, there have been rumors everywhere, and when it comes to Terence Crawford, there's been rumors spread around him wanting a lot more money, wanting to have 50-50, wanting to have over $10 million in revenue for this undisputed matchup, wanting to have more than Errol Spence apparently. So there's been a plethora of rumors revolving around Terence Crawford's money demands and why this undisputed fight has not been made yet. And one thing I will say for sure is that I guarantee that Al Heyman cannot find a date for this fight just yet, because he may not have enough money to support this fight as a whole, especially if Terence Crawford is demanding that much money. Now, I don't know if he signed a guaranteed contractual agreement with Al Heyman yet, but if he did, then we're not going to be able to see this fight for quite a while, especially with all the struggles that PBC is going through in their fighters financially. And as for Terence Crawford demanding 50-50, it's okay for him to demand 50-50, but from my perspective, if we compare resumes, especially at welterweight, and especially in terms of star power, Errol Spence deserves more of the pay. You can say resume-wise, 50-50 matchup, potentially so, okay? Because both of these fighters have great resumes, and Terence Crawford has a far more extensive one when it comes to defenses and weight classes. But as for Errol Spence, he is the bigger star. He does have the more notable names. He has, Mikey Garcia as an example. And yeah, he has more of the mainstream fighters on his resume, and he got the mainstream fighters when they were more fresh. Terence Crawford got the Kell Brooks and the Sean Porters when they weren't as fresh and when they were less popular fighters at the time. And in the past, you notice that Floyd Mayweather back in 2007 accepted less money to fight Oscar De La Hoya, who was a cash cow at the time. And he had to beat the cash cow to become the cash cow. Will Crawford make that same thing? No. In one of my previous videos, I said he should bite down, but if he's not going to bite down, then this fight's going to struggle to be made, because 50-50 is not that reasonable in my opinion. I think 50-50 does not exist for this matchup, and I think Terence Crawford should take 60-40. Anything below 60-40, though, in my opinion, is ridiculous. But 60-40, from my perspective, is a good deal to take. He's holding up until he gets the right money and he sees those right M's and those right zeros. That's what I've been hearing. Maybe not, maybe so. I have no idea. And in the same company that Al Heyman hosts, which is the PBC, he's given Canelo $50 million for that PBC deal, which is a good investment. You know why? Because Canelo was a star. Terence Crawford is not that much of a star. For Al Heyman to make a risk by making Terence Crawford versus Errol Spence, Terence Crawford has to have more star power to get more seats in and more pay-per-view numbers. If he's not that big of a star and he's expecting that much money, this fight will never be made, because it would just be a severe loss of money for Al Heyman if the fight performs terribly based off of Terence Crawford's lack of star power. Terence Crawford is demanding big bucks for a guy who doesn't have that much star power. He has phenomenal skills, but his star power does not match someone like Canelo to get a $50 million contract from Al Heyman. You know, Canelo was a superstar. Terence Crawford is not a superstar. He is a boxing star. There's a difference. Canelo Alvarez, he's not a superstar, but he's a star in he's a superstar in boxing, and also basically a star outside of boxing as well. Not like on the level of Floyd Mayweather or Mike Tyson, but he's definitely more popular than most of these boxers in the world. Al Heyman is struggling to make fight dates. He's a fighter who, not a fighter. Wait, hold up. Let me rephrase that. He's a promoter who had a good vision, who makes a lot of things pay-per-view to earn finances, which is completely reasonable, you know. As we find out now, he was right all along. You know, the Zone is going back to pay-per-view. They're not trying to do monthly subscriptions. They're going to pay-per-view because they're not earning money doing these monthly subscriptions. So I give Al Heyman credit. The old school style worked the entire time. Now, while this undisputed fight has not happened yet, and others have, like Ramirez versus Taylor and Charlo versus Casano, these fights were never that big in the first place. Nobody was demanding that much money. These guys weren't making as much, so it was more profitable to put this undisputed matchup together. Secondly, too, they're both under the same promotion, I'm pretty sure, right? Yeah, Jose Ramirez is under Top Rank. Ramirez, Charlo versus Casano was under PBC, so this was an in-house undisputed matchup. I would say, personally, when it comes to the 154-pound division, PBC has that entire roster of that division. That might be the strongest division. That might be PBC's strongest weight division entirely. That might be PBC's strongest. Like, I think that's the only division where they straight up have so many 154 fighters, and they just have like they could even have a 154 PBC belt. That's how many PBC fighters are in that division. My opinion on Terence Crawford is this. Terence Crawford is a fighter. He's a great fighter, but he should take 60-40. Or 40-60 from his perspective, right? He should take 40-60, 60-40, you know, because he's not the A side. Terence Crawford's the A side. I mean, no, not Terence Crawford. Errol Spence is the A side. Sorry for messing up my words, but Errol Spence is the A side. And with Errol Spence being the A side, he should have to bite down. I've said this in many videos before, but people don't believe that he should bite down. Instead, they should say this is a legacy fight, and Errol Spence should take it anyways and put it for 50-50 because this fight matters. You know, and as for Errol Spence, from my perspective, Errol Spence is a phenomenal boxer. He's recently dominated Yordenis Ugas and got hurt in that fight. He beat Danny Garcia. He handled Sean Porter. He handled Mikey Garcia. He's handled a lot of these fighters. And Carlos Ocampo, who's fighting Sebastian Fundora. Personally, I personally thought Carlos Ocampo would do good at super welterweight, but they're putting him against Fundora, which is very difficult of a task, I might add. But to move back to Terence Crawford too, Sean Porter, you know, he's beaten Sean Porter, he's beaten Kell Brook, he's beaten Mean Machine, he's beaten Khan, he's beaten Jose Benavidez. He's beaten many of these top fighters, and my favorite victory of his is probably his victory against Jeff Horn. Dominated Jeff Horn. Crazy fight. So I don't know who to trust anymore. They want to say that this fight's coming close, and it's coming closer and closer and closer, but we see no actual results yet. We see a fight which people claim is coming closer, but it's really not. You know, Errol Spence is the same guy who said, you know, when he gets 3 of these belts, we're going to see who's ducking, and it looks like Crawford is ducking. It looks like Crawford's in that vulnerable situation and state where he's just not taking the fight at all. So what are they going to say about that? I don't know. I just want to see the fight, and I hope it's made. I hope it's made eventually. You know, I'm not sure if Terence Crawford has made enough recognition or made that much big of a name for himself to really sell out as much as he potentially can. I feel like before he sells out, he should probably dominate Keith Thurman. If I'm thinking from like more of a business mind, and develop his career a little bit more, then put him against Errol Spence. You know, maybe put him against Keith Thurman, have him call out Canelo, then put the Errol Spence fight there. You know, something ridiculous like that. So yeah, that's my opinion and my perspective. Thank you guys for watching. Do you guys think that Errol Spence is ducking, or do you guys think that Terence Crawford is ducking, or do you think it's none of that at all and it's just other stuff? Let me know in the comment section. Thank you guys for watching. Goodbye.